Hello everybody, welcome to my channel. My name is Lina and today I want to show you what happened during my first month in Stardew Valley during my very slow walk towards perfection. I'll put all of the mods that I've installed in the description box, the main ones being Stardew Valley Expanded and Ridgeside Village. Both of these expand the game a lot so that we can hang out in the save file for a long time. I also have Diverse Stardew Valley installed to add more diversity to the game, so the vanilla characters might look a bit different from what you're used to. Our farmer is going to be Tina Tea Leaf. I'm going to play on the Meadowlands farm that came with the 1.6 update, and I chose to go for the remixed community center bundles without the 1-year completable guarantee, so there's no rush there. After the usual intro cutscene, where we receive Grandpa's letter about inheriting Tea Leaf Farm, I moved to the valley and was welcomed to the farm by Robin and Lewis. When I woke up the next morning, I could get my first look on the interior of the new Meadowlands farmhouse. Of all of the farmhouses, this one is probably furnished the best, since it comes with a good amount of furniture including a dresser. Someone left a package for me containing 15 pieces of hay. Since this farm comes with a coop and 2 small chickens, I visited those babies first. The chickens had cute matching names, with the white one being called Fishy and the brown one called Roe, but I changed their names to Noodles and Dumpling respectively. Then I cleared the farm a bit, particularly the area around the coop and the entrances, and on this map the farm cave is located at the lower right corner. I also made a chest where I put all of my stuff in, except for my hoe. You can trust that I never leave the farm without it. On my way to town, I bumped into Lewis and his sister Lenny. It seems like Lenny was teasing him about his secret relationship with you probably know who, and he did not like that. But Lenny fulfilled her role as an older sister by calling him Lulu and telling him to chill out. When Lenny had left, Lewis suggested that I visit Ridgeside Village sometime, since it's easily accessible by cable cart. But he did say something strange about not knowing how Ridgeside Village has been able to pay for this transportation. Is he implying that a villager seduced the governor to build them a cable cart? I hope we'll find out eventually. After getting my first dose of village life gossip, I checked out the cable cart for myself. Lenny had put a sign next to it that read, "Warning, please secure your horse in the horse compartment. We don't want another Pegasus incident," which gave me a very bad mental image. I also saw that there are 67 people that we can meet, which is a goal that I won't be rushing to complete. But still, I went into town to greet some people, and there are some pieces of dialogue that Diverse Stardew Valley has altered. Something I really liked was that Emily asked me about my pronouns, and she said that they themselves use all of them. And for Evelyn, she is Samoan in my save, so instead of "you can call me Granny," she says "you can call me Tina?" I'm sorry if I pronounced that wrong, but if I understand it correctly, the word is used to say mother or grandmother, which is really cool that they included that representation, but please correct me if I'm wrong. Maru also included her pronouns in her introduction, which was nice. And I think I want to try and install the gender neutrality mod for the next season, if that's possible, because I feel more comfortable with Tina using they them pronouns instead of she her. I also shamed Alex for eating raw eggs. Hey, I overheard someone saying that you got your first chicken the other day. Man, I wish Grandma had chickens. I'd eat a dozen. Oh my god, I thought he was going to say I'd eat a lot of chickens. I'd eat a dozen raw eggs for breakfast each morning. That's gross. You're gross, Alex. And instead of harvesting our first parsnip, our first goal is that we now need to harvest an egg from our chickens. But I still want to grow crops, so I bought the usual 15 parsnip seeds and an additional 2 potato seeds at Pierre's. Abigail told me that she uses she/they pronouns. I looked at the calendar and saw that today was the birthday of Torts, but their gift taste is incredibly posh, so I didn't give them anything. In addition to the many birthdays, the calendar showed when a new bookseller would be in town, as well as some mystery events that I don't think I have access to yet. I also checked out this path, that leads to an overgrown shed, but since I can't get to it yet, I'll just leave it for the rest of the season. After planting and watering my seeds, I looked for some spring onions, of which there were none. I started the day off with reading some junk mail from Pierre's and an invitation from Billy to visit him at the beach. And from this point on, I'll water my crops in the morning and tend to my animals, so I'm not going to mention this for every day. Today I also planted yesterday's mixed seeds. On my way to the beach, I had a pretty cute convo with Trini. She made sure I learned her name correctly, so she spelled it out for me and said, "Not Trina, not Tiny, Trini, got that?" I also petted Dusty, which is Alex's dog. Billy gave me the bamboo fishing pole. I tried it out and noticed that there's now a sound when you catch a new fish for the first time. For some extra dopamine. I really wanted to visit Ridgeside, but before I could catch the cable cart, Mr. Egward told me that by saying hello to him I was wasting his time. At least he wished me a good day afterwards. In Ridgeside, I walked into the first house that I saw. It was Kenneth's and he has a robot that, as far as I know, doesn't have a name. While I was snooping through Kenneth's stuff, it did make a funny noise though. Then when I walked into the actual town, Lenny offered to give me a tour. She started off by telling me that the town slogan, which is Ridgeside Village, a village on the side of the ridge, is in her words still a work in progress. The first thing that she showed me was the log cabin hotel, followed by the town square, a restaurant called Pika's, and the Starbound stage that hasn't been used in a while. Here Lenny dropped some lore because she told me that there are rumors among the villagers about dangerous fruits and spooky ghosts, whatever that means. After the tour I did some exploring on my own. This sign reads the town slogan, followed by a PS from Lenny saying, "If anyone can come up with a better slogan, please contact me." For those who are interested, I'll put some Ridgeside history on the screen. You can pause it if you want. You can find this text in the log cabin hotel, which is what I explored next. There's this really cool detail where the artwork that's on the walls actually seems to be fan art of the Ridgeside villagers. I think it's so nice that they incorporated this into the mod. There was also this guest that said that the hotel felt cold and thought it might be because of magic, so I'm wondering whether that's a hint towards something. And I found a piece of gold in the trash can, but unfortunately I couldn't pick it up. After the hotel I went to Pika's where I met some more people, like Pika himself and Faye, also known as the villager that Tina might already be developing a crush on. I got a piece of cloth from a trash can that belongs to this fancy ass house, which was really lucky. Back home I noticed that there is a grave close to the cable cart, the inscription of which reads, "Here lies Pegasus, the horse that could fly. Though only your saddle was found, we mourn your loss and cry. May your feet never hit the ground. We'll meet again in the sky." The sign of the Pegasus incident makes a whole lot more sense now. This grave is so sad, it legit makes me want to cry. So I'm just going to believe that the horse actually flew away. The next day my baby chicks had become fully grown chickens, so I could harvest the first eggs and complete our first goal. I saved the eggs for later and harvested some spring onions, after which I got a pop-up that read, "You've got some new ideas to sleep on." This pop-up now appears when you've leveled up one of your skills, so that's a nice quality of life update. My energy was really low from the previous day, so I decided to venture deeper into the forest and look for more forageables. But I brought way too much stuff with me, so I went back home, planted the wild seeds that I'd found, dropped my stuff off and went back into the forest. That backpack upgrade sounded pretty good right now. I stumbled upon this abandoned farm called Aurora Vineyard. Everything looked very dilapidated and overgrown. On the table was an old newspaper article, or at least I think that's what it was, about how the owners of this farm went bankrupt. So that's likely the reason why the place is abandoned now. There also seemed to be the beginning of a Junimo hut in the house, so I'm curious how the story is going to progress. Back outside, I found maple syrup in front of what looks like a cave entrance that brought up a pop-up when I tried to enter. It said that it doesn't look like anyone's home. I'm wondering if by anyone they mean a certain bear. Further south, I came across an open area with swords scattered around the grass. Most of them were artifacts, but one of them was a usable forest sword, so that will be nice for when I go mining. When it got dark, I made my way back home and cleared some weeds on my farm before going to bed and leveling up my foraging skill. Because I had found cloth on day 2, Emily knocked on my door the next morning to tell me that I could use her sewing machine if I wanted. They also complimented me on how my farm is looking, which felt like a bit of an exaggeration, but it was sweet of them anyway. Now that I knew how to make field snacks from tree seeds, which is a very nice source of energy, I decided that I wanted to fix that wooden plank/bridge on the beach, so I started cutting down a lot of trees. Once I'd gathered enough wood, I greeted some more villagers. Sophia seems to be struggling with social anxiety, but she handled meeting a new person very well. I fixed the bridge on the beach, so now I could collect the forageables that spawn there. These will hopefully make me a good amount of money. Sam also asked me about my pronouns. I believe Diverse Stardew makes it so that he is a trans character, so he uses he/him pronouns. In this playthrough, I really want to focus on giving as much people gifts for their birthdays as possible, and since it would be Alyssa's birthday soon, I set out to Ridgeside to find a rich Azorian flower, which is a loved gift for her. This lower path led me to a hiking trail. Next to the trail was this pink crystal. When I interacted with it, the description read, "Upon looking closer you can vaguely see what seems to be small islands and waterfalls. I wonder if I can someday travel inside this crystal." There was also this structure that looks like the ruins of the greenhouse. The description reads, "Truly a mystery as to what it might have once been," which I think is sarcasm. Behind the mysterious structure was something that was described as a tomb. There was a hard to read text engraved on it, and I'm guessing it used to say, "Here lies Arthur," but I'm not sure. The last thing I found here was a note from someone called A that said, "Stargazing guide for Cookie. The stars are most visible after 11 PM on a clear night. Don't stray too far from the house, okay?" I haven't figured out what that means yet, but I hope that I will someday. A bit further down alongside the hiking trail was this boarded up house in an area with a lot of forageables from Ridgeside. These forageables also have their own buffs. For example, the mountain arugula gives you +1 luck if you eat it, so I'm going to hold on to these. Back home I crafted some spring seeds that I wanted to sell so that I could buy more crop seeds. The next morning, Marnie came to my door to ask me if I wanted to adopt this cutie, and since she is a white cat and I started out with 2 chickens, I called her Mayo. She's now included in the tab that shows all of my animals. I got 2 letters today. The first one was from Susan, a farmer in the mountains that was trapped by a landslide caused by Jojamart. The second letter was from the villains themselves, who let me know that they cleared up the other landslide that they had caused, so now I could visit the mines. I wouldn't be doing that today, however, because the daily luck was very bad. Instead, I harvested my first parsnips and saw this digging spot that didn't look like wiggling worms, but more like wiggling grass. So I hoed the spot and got some carrot seeds that I've never seen before, so of course I immediately planted those. The one chest that I had was filling up quickly, so I crafted another one, organized my stuff and went to town for the community center cutscene. We've probably all seen this a million times, but let's just appreciate how cute this Junimo is. After looking at the unreadable scroll, I went on with my day and visited Ridgeside to give Alyssa her birthday gift. Back home I planted some potato seeds that I'd bought at Pierre's and visited the traveling cart, but I didn't know what I needed for the community center bundles yet, so I was just window shopping. I wanted to spend the rest of the day fishing, but on my way to the beach, Trini was being really cute. She told me that her mom, Olga, tells her that she has a green thumb, but she herself can see it and now she's wondering if she's colorblind, and her dad, Bert, uses this to tease her even more. Poor Trini. On the beach, Blair introduced herself to me as my future wife, which made me really shy. And Elliot is Jewish in my game, so it's really neat that this is reflected in his dialogue and portrait. I took advantage of this bubble spot for most of the day. Here is the haul that I reeled in. Since it was Friday night, I stopped by at the saloon. I met some more people, including Sebastian, who told me that their pronouns are he, they. And in his portrait, Shane actually has a red nose because of the alcohol that he's drinking, which is an interesting detail, as well as Leah, who has paint splatters on her face. I gave Journey of the Prairie King a try. It went pretty good for my first time. I even made it to level 2, but then I got overwhelmed and went game over. That night I reached level 1 farming and fishing. Even though I had leveled up, I would forget about my ability to now craft a scarecrow until the next day, even after noticing that one of my crops had been eaten by a crow. I guess I was too excited by the wizard's ladder and the prospect of knowing what bundles I'd have to complete soon, as well as the amazing luck that day, which would be perfect for mining. Before going to the mines, I really wanted to get that backpack upgrade, so I decided to sell the eggs that I had saved up to Pierre, so that I could afford the bigger backpack. But first, the wizard taught me to read the Junimo scroll at the community center. I could look at this for hours. The spring foraging bundle contains a spring onion instead of a daffodil, the winter one a holly instead of a crystal fruit. The exotic one is the same as usual, as well as the summer and fall one, but we do need 500 sap for the sticky bundle. I went back inside the wizard's tower to check out his basement, something you should never do in real life, and it seemed to have a lot of warp spots, which I'll have to unlock, I think. There was also a basement under the basement that had a quote-unquote receptacle of unknown origins, so who knows what that's about. Back in town, Kenneth was doing crazy stunts with his ladder. He told me he was too busy to chat. I mean, clearly. When I met Haley for the first time, she actually didn't comment on how ugly my clothes are, so that was confusing. Selling the eggs gave me enough gold for the backpack upgrade, so with that I was ready to go mining. Marlon gave me a rusty sword that looked like trash next to my forest sword, so I would be selling that back to him later. Since it was already pretty late in the day, I mostly focused on gathering resources instead of trying to get as many floors down as possible. I got lucky with a special slime that dropped a small magnet ring. From a crate I got another carrot seed, but unfortunately on floor 9 I didn't have enough energy to find the last ladder, and me being forgetful didn't bring any food, so I had to leave without finding the ladder. I did reach level 1 mining though. Because I had found copper ores in the mines, Clint gave me the blueprint for a furnace, so I crafted one and started making copper bars. I also got a letter from Marlon challenging me to slay 10 slimes if I wanted to be admitted to the Adventurers Guild. There was more wiggly grass at the bus stop that gave me 2 more carrot seeds. After planting those, I finally remembered to craft the scarecrow. I gave Louis a potato for his birthday, and since it was a good luck day, went back to the mines. This doggy dropped a yam, which would come in handy because I forgot to take enough food with me again. I also came across an infested floor, at least that was helpful for slaying the 10 slimes quest. In this crate here was a small glow ring, so I felt very lucky to get that. After reaching level 15, I went to the Adventurers Guild, where I noticed that Marlon's shop portrait doesn't match his sprite and regular portrait, so I probably did something wrong with the diversity mod. But anyway, he must have been pretty proud of me because I reached level 1 in combat that night. On the first day of my second week in the valley, I harvested my first carrots. I went foraging in the forest and hoped to find a horseradish so that I could make more spring seeds. but I found literally everything except for a horseradish. Eventually, I ended up finding a very sneaky one that was hiding behind this tree. One of my goals for this week was to get Robin to build me a silo, but for that I needed 10 pieces of clay. I checked the beach for any digging spots that might give me clay, but unfortunately that wasn't the case. I had some artifacts and gems that I could donate to the museum. I guess it can't really be called a museum right now, because there are hardly any items in the collection. Lucky for Gunther, I don't mind cosplaying as an archaeologist in my free time. The first reward I got from donating some items was 9 cauliflower seeds. I felt like donating even more stuff, so I went to the community center and completed the spring foraging bundle, granting me 30 spring seeds. This also opened up the bundles for the pantry and the fish tank. For the pantry I needed some spring crops, which included kale instead of the usual potato. The summer crops bundle included a summer squash, which is a new crop, and it's the same for the fall crops, for which I now needed broccoli. I also need either an ancient fruit or a sweet gemberry for the rare crops bundle, and the artisan bundle is still the same as well as the animal bundle. All of the bundles for the fish tank are the same as usual, except I needed to complete the master fishers bundle instead of the specialty fish bundle. After seeing what crops I needed for the community center, I rushed to Pierre's to get a bean starter, 1 kale seed and some more potato seeds. I didn't need cauliflower seeds because I just received those from Gunther. And now that I was here, I might as well give Caroline a daffodil in the hopes that she'll eventually like me enough to give me her recipe for tea saplings. The tea leaf farm wouldn't be complete without them. I planted all of my seeds and decided to visit Ridgeside for the evening. I wanted to find another rich Azorian flower since it was Anton's birthday tomorrow and those flowers are a loved gift for him. When I arrived in Ridgeside, however, there was a kiwi fruit staring at me. They moved closer towards me and told me to shoo before they vanished in thin air. If they hadn't been so adorable, I would have probably been offended. Kenneth's robot was also roaming around outside his house. It was saying wee woo, which I thought was cute. In the field that I mentioned before, I found 5 Ridgeside monkshood flowers, which give you a +1 farming buff if you eat them. Unfortunately, I didn't see any Azorian flowers for Anton. I reached level 3 foraging, and with that the recipe for moss soup, which is a new recipe. It sounds interesting? Question mark. Day 9 was a rainy day, as well as a very good luck day. Apparently Kenneth's robot had taken the cable car down into the valley. This time it said buzz bzz zap, pain buzz bzz zap, which is kind of concerning. So I tried giving it a daffodil to make it feel better, but that didn't work. Maybe it said pain because it's not supposed to be out in the rain? On my way up, Kiwi was sitting on the roof of the cable cart. Pretty dangerous if you ask me. This time I was very glad to find the flower that Anton loves. On my way to give Anton his gift, I obtained my first trash bread and run into Ezekiel who said, "Lenny says I should take it easy peasy lemon squeezy." Bah, easy for her to say. My life has been difficult lemon difficult, which I thought was hilarious. I met Anton at the convenience store, so I gave him his gift. Next to the stairs was a preserve jar, on which it said that it was Kia's hiding spot, which I think refers to Kiara, which is Anton's sister. Obviously, I went up the stairs to snoop around in the upstairs apartment, but there wasn't really anything that exciting, apart from maybe a garbage bin full of used tomatoes, but I don't really know what that means. When I went back downstairs, I walked into an awkward scene where Lorenzo, which is Anton's brother, scolded Anton for not doing anything except hanging around and drinking energy drinks. Anton made a sassy remark to Shanice, which is Lorenzo's wife, that her husband's blood pressure was spiking again. Shanice calmed Lorenzo down and had a sassy comeback for Anton in return, because she asked him what he needed energy drinks for since he clearly wasn't working. Anton confessed that he was trying to cure his hangover, but that made Lorenzo even more annoyed, understandably so. That's when Shanice finally noticed me eavesdropping on them and apologized for the situation. Lorenzo explained that Anton was taking a break from his career as an architect. According to Lorenzo, Anton spends his time lazing around and it's all because... But then Shanice told him to stop talking. "What are you doing, Shanice? I was just about to get some gossip." Anton also apologized and told me not to worry about his problems, so I guess it would be best if I left. I visited the Blooming Hill farm where Jarek was selling spring seeds at an amazing discount, so I snagged all of them except for 4 bean starters. I also introduced myself properly to Jarek, but is it just me or is he a bit gross for saying, "Check you out, you wear that outfit well, Tina. I bet you could wear anything and look like a model." I ran out of that store as fast as my legs could take me. I spent the rest of the afternoon fishing here and ended up catching 3 different Ridgeside fish. First I caught a harvester trout, then a Ridgeside bass, and lastly a mountain red-belly dace. Back home I expanded my garden by planting the crops that I had bought. I really like how each planting space has a different size. With my last energy I gathered some wood so that I could craft another chest specifically for all of my fishing related stuff. So after organizing that, I went to bed and leveled up my farming skill, which was great because now I knew how to craft mayonnaise machines. I also leveled up my fishing skill. The next morning after going foraging, I spotted this door in the forest that I hadn't noticed before, but I think I can't open it until I've reached level 10 for all of my skills. I went to the library to give Vincent a daffodil for his birthday. His reaction was so cute. "Oh wow, this is exactly what I wanted." Yeah. I can't do that. I also talked to Floor, who was wearing reading glasses, which is really cute. I went to the beach to fish for the rest of the day. This bubble spot gave me a dull seaweed, which comes with Stardew Valley Expanded. It's really easy to catch since it just stays at the bottom of the fishing bar. Catching this flounder gave me the fisherman achievement, meaning that I had caught 10 different fish. On my way back home, I found an iron bar in Emily and Haley's trash can. I sold most of the fish that I had caught that day and went to bed. I reached level 3 fishing that day. When I woke up the next morning, I got a pop-up that told me that the bookseller was in town, so I did a little happy dance. In my mail that day was a letter from the head mouse saying, "Me sell hats, okay Poke? Come to old house Poke. Bring coins." I also got a letter from Robin telling me that she lost her favorite axe and asking me to bring it to her if I found it. In town there was a poster that pointed me in the direction of the bookseller, so after selling my potato harvest to Pierre and replacing them with more potato seeds, I went to find the bookseller. I thought that maybe they were near the community center, but that wasn't the case. So I made my way through town, making a stop at Clint's to have him upgrade my pickaxe, only to find out that I forgot to bring my pickaxe with me. I looped back home past Joja Mart to get my pickaxe, but I still saw no sign of the bookseller. I ended up using the wiki to find them, and they are above Joja Mart. So after giving Clint my pickaxe and finding an artifact in his back garden that I donated to the museum, I finally found the bookseller. The books that he was selling today could be useful for leveling up skills or increasing your movement speed, but I couldn't afford any of them. The cheapest book they had would allow me to see the value of my items, which might be useful for deciding what to throw away if your inventory gets too full, but I left without buying anything and came across Vincent and Jess wanting to explore the sewers. Fortunately, it was locked because that sounds very dangerous for 2 kids to do. Jess mentioned that she thinks that Marlon has the key. There was a sound coming from the sewers that scared them. So I went to check it out, but I'm not that brave, so the sound also scared me, and Vincent and Jess ran away. I found Robin's axe near that door that I discovered yesterday, as well as a nice amount of spring onions. I paid a visit to the head mouse, but I didn't bring the coins that they asked me to, so I couldn't buy the available hat. Instead, I gathered some wood, because I wanted to make my farm prettier by adding paths. When I ran out of energy, I went back home and planted my potato seeds. Sadly, I bought one too few. I had saved up all of my forageables at this point because I wanted to use them to craft tea saplings, but since I didn't know the recipe for tea saplings yet, I decided to just craft the spring seeds and sell those. I also crafted the wooden pads that I wanted to place around my crops, and I think that made it look pretty nice. That day I made almost 3000 gold from the spring seeds. The next day I'd received a letter from Dad who had sent me 500 gold. I also got a notice from Lewis that the Egg Festival would be tomorrow. I realized that I forgot Isabel's birthday yesterday, and today was Ezekiel's birthday, so I wanted to spend the day in Ridgeside so that I could give those two gifts. Having to go to this pond multiple times a day to refill my watering can was starting to feel old, so while I was watering my crops, I caught myself fantasizing about having a well. I usually don't bother getting one because I try to get sprinklers as soon as possible, but in this save it's taking me a bit longer to get there. I also think that a well will look really nice next to the crops, so I guess I made up my mind. Dumpling the chicken had laid their first large egg. I held on to it so that I could donate it to the community center later. While I was cutting these weeds to see if there was maybe something up here, Isabel came down from the cable cart. I gave her mountain arugula, which she loved, but unfortunately didn't give me any hearts with her. She told me that she had bought a dress for herself and Corinne for the Egg Festival, which made me feel excited to rate everyone's outfits. Kenneth's robot was roaming around at the bottom of the cable cart again. It said, "Buzz, bzz, zap, don't trust. Buzz, bzz, zap. Hi, I'm Howdy." This wasn't as creepy as what it said last time, but it was still very strange. Kiwi was back on the roof of the cable cart, and for some reason I felt like they were keeping an eye on me. In Ridgeside, I heard Alyssa sing and it sounded really good. She herself thought the same, but when she noticed that she wasn't alone, she got embarrassed and ran away, which was really sad. I gave Ezekiel an anchovy for his birthday, which he loved. Then I ran into Alyssa, who apologized for running away earlier. She explained that she feels shy when singing in front of others. I didn't mean to show her my sword as a response. That must have come across as a threat to never run away from me again. After cutting all of this fiber, which was very satisfying, I saw a mysterious man marking a map. When he noticed me, he seemed to know who I am and where I live. I guess that's nothing to worry about. He told me that the spirits greeted me and introduced himself as Geo. He was surprised that I could see the pointy shape of his ears, because the seer, whoever that is, uses magic to hide Geo's true form from humans. Am I not a human? He took a close look of my face before he went up in smoke, leaving me confused. I explored the area a bit further. To the left was a bridge that I couldn't cross, and on the cliff were Geo and Kiwi. Kiwi said that the Egg Festival looks fun and that they might sneak in. I hope they do, I'd love to see them there. There was also a grave there that read, "Here lies body, your time was too short," which made me feel nervous for the body that's in my Sims Legacy series. I went to Geo and Kiwi's house. There was a statue of a woman wrapped by a snake in the garden. Apparently her eyes seemed to follow me. Inside the house was a pretty ominous note that read, "Keep an eye on the old man's farm. Await further instructions." Am I supposed to be worried here? Above the house was what looked like a Junimo hut, but no one was inside. Back in town I saw Torch the turtle for the first time. They look so cute, I really want to befriend them. When it got dark, I stopped by at Pika's. Lenny was there and told me that she wanted to participate in the egg hunt tomorrow, but Louis thinks that she should act like an adult. I think that Louis should shut up. On the day of the Egg Festival, I harvested 18 crops, so I wanted to buy at least 18 strawberry seeds. Before the festival began, I cleared the farm a bit, and then it was time for the festivities. I ended up getting 36 strawberry seeds, as well as this seasonal plant that would look really good on my farm. One of the things that I like doing the most during a festival is looking at everyone's outfits and ranking them. Not everyone has a new outfit for this festival specifically, so I'll only be counting those who aren't wearing their regular clothes. Here is my top 5 favorite outfits. In 5th place is Jodie. I like how everything perfectly matches. In 4th is Isabel, for buying a dress not only for herself, but also for Corinne. In 3rd is Abigail, for using her straw hat to intimidate all of the other contestants of the egg hunt. I love how aggressive this is. In 2nd is Evelyn, because she looks so put together. And in 1st place is Emily. She's literally wearing a chicken beret. Seeing this outfit made me so happy. I'll also share some of the dialogue that stood out to me. Olga was oversharing that eggs make her husband gassy, so if he doesn't slow down he has to sleep on the couch. Torts was also here. They were staring angrily at the eggs. Mr. Eggwar was mumbling to himself that Lenny and Louis don't listen to him when he warns them about something, and he told me off for eavesdropping on him. Kiwi was being their cute self. In the middle of all of this was the blanket of an awful family. Louis referred to the other villagers as peasants. His cousin, Araya, asked me not to bother her because she had to study, and their grandmother, Maeve, was hating on how nothing about this event was done right except for the eggs. I'm guessing that they live at that large house where I had gotten the cloth from. Then it was time for the egg hunt. I'm glad that Lenny decided to join in anyway instead of listening to Louis. I feel like I was a bit all over the place, especially when I bumped into the people that were just watching. But I ended up finding 8 eggs, and that was enough to win the race. So I received a straw hat that matches Abigail's. Next year I'll be able to intimidate everyone else too. Afterwards I planted my strawberry seeds and reached level 3 farming and level 4 foraging. I could now craft a mushroom log, which apparently grows forageable mushrooms, so that's pretty exciting. After tending to my crops the next day, I placed the plant that I had bought at the festival on the porch, but I wanted to find a better spot for it later. My biggest goal for today was to find enough clay to purchase a silo from Robin, and I was hoping that the geodes that I had could help me with that. I went to Clint to get my geodes cut. He also gave me my upgraded pickaxe. From the geodes I got some gems that I could donate to the museum, but I was most excited when I got the exact amount of clay and stone that I needed for the silo. Donating the gems gave me 9 melon seeds. I went home to drop off some stuff and get a few birthday presents for Haley and Maeve, but since I didn't like Maeve, she wasn't high on my list of priorities. Haley was happy with the daffodil that I gave her. On my way to Robin, I saw Louis worrying about the landslide that trapped Susan. Apparently it doesn't get cleared out until summer, and he discouraged me from trying to clear it out myself. So instead I gave Robin the eggs that she'd lost and asked her to build me a silo. I hadn't thought about where I wanted to place this down. For now I chose this spot close to the coop, but it'll probably change once I've planned out my farm layout more. On my way to Ridgeside, Leah was with me in the cable cart. I'd like to think that she gave me some emotional support before I had to face Maeve. Before I reached Maeve's house though, Chiro asked me if I wanted to join him, Philip, Yuma and Torts for a bit. I didn't mind a bit of procrastination, so I said sure. Chiro told me that Yuma is a bit shy, so he asked me if I wanted to play with him. Yuma introduced me to Torts that is being taken care of by Yuma and the other Ridgeside kids, and he shared some tortoise facts with me. It's so sweet to see how Yuma opened up when he was talking about his interests. I can very much relate to him. Torts looked at me and snorted before walking away, which made me laugh. Yuma reassured me that it takes Torts some time to warm up to new people. After that wholesome moment, I was ready to get shouted at by Maeve. When I tried to talk to her, she said, "Can't you see I'm on the phone? Where are your manners?" Her tone completely shifted when I gave her some maple syrup, which is a loved gift. I decided to snoop around for a bit. Araya told me that they never have a rest day and that they have a lot of responsibilities to themselves and to the town, which sounds exhausting. I also talked to Sunny, the family's butler, and Irene, their personal chef. The house was very big, there was even an indoor pool, but unfortunately I couldn't swim in here without permission. There was also a large empty aquarium, so I'm curious what they're going to put in it. I fished in the river for the rest of the day, but I caught quite some trash. Before going to bed, I placed more pads down, now that I had more crops, and moved the seasonal plant to the crop fields. On day 15, Noodle had laid her first large egg, so I decided to take a trip to the community center and donate everything I had. It was also salmonberry season, so for the upcoming days I would collect as many berries as I could. I donated a sardine, clam, common mushroom, 2 large eggs, a parsnip, kale and cauliflower. The only thing left to complete the spring crops bundle would be a green bean. On the calendar I saw that it was Olivia's birthday, but her gift taste is too expensive for me. I could have given her the maple syrup that I had found in the forest, but I'd already given that to Maeve yesterday, so unfortunately I had to skip Olivia's birthday. Apparently Pierre sells the recipe for a dehydrator now. You can use it to dry fruit or mushrooms, but it was 10,000 gold, so it'll probably take me a while before I'm able to afford it. Instead, I bought more potato seeds and gave Caroline a daffodil, which gave me 1 heart with her. I spent the afternoon foraging for salmonberry seeds in the forest. When I walked past Andy's farm, he decided to help me out since I was just starting out as a farmer. He said he would send me some strawberry seeds in the mail, which was really nice of him. Deeper in the woods, I saw him again at the abandoned Aurora vineyard. This time he wasn't so nice though. He said, "Not fair to the kids, farmer. You and the others during that egg hunting spree," which made me feel kind of ashamed for participating. In the evening I was still thinking about it. I even took off my straw hat. But then I thought, even Lenny participated, so why would I feel bad about it? And I put my hat back on. To end the day, I did some late night fishing at the mountain lake. The next morning, Andy came by to warn me about crows and recommended I'd craft some more scarecrows, which I didn't do. His strawberry seeds also came in the mail, but I decided to save them for next year to get the most amount of harvests out of them. I saw that my potatoes were almost ready, and since Pierre's would be closed tomorrow, I decided to buy some seeds today. I felt very well organized for planning ahead like that. That feeling vanished when I figured I might also get my eggs upgraded, but I didn't have enough copper, so I had to wait for 2 more copper bars to be smelted. I tried to organize my stuff a bit, but we all know that it was just me trying to look busy. When I was at Pierre's, Morris, the manager of Joja Mart, came in and offered all of Pierre's customers a 50% discount on groceries from Joja. The audacity of this man is unbelievable. But then again, groceries are ridiculously expensive, so if this happened in real life, I'd probably get my hands on a discount coupon as well. When I talked to Abigail, I noticed she was feeling salty about losing the egg hunt. She said, "Feeling pretty good about the egg hunt, huh? Well, next year you won't be so lucky." Even though she full-on threatened me, I was the one wearing the straw hat, so... In the library, I gave Trini a rich cherry for her birthday, which she loved. I asked Clint to upgrade my eggs. It was a very good luck day, so I went to the mines. On my way there, Ian said he was working on something, but he didn't seem busy. He was just staring at the lake, so I annoyed him for a bit. I got a staircase on the spiral floor of the mines, but in the middle of the spiral were a lot of crates, so I wanted to go there and see if there was any good loot. The answer is... not really. On floor 20 I received a steel small sword, but the forest sword has better stats. I went to sell the small sword to Marlon. When I entered the Adventurers Guild, he said I'd proven myself, so he asked if I wanted to be their 23rd member. Of course I said yes. I hadn't mentioned this before, but Robin had finished building my silo, so now every time I cut the grass, it would become hay for Dumpling and Noodle. That night I reached level 2 of the mining and combat skill. When I woke up the next morning, I saw that I had earned the greenhorn achievement, meaning that I'd made 15k gold. I spent the entire morning watering my crops and cutting more hay. I crafted 2 tappers, one for a maple and one for an oak tree. After petting Dumpling and Noodle, I saw that my silo was already almost full, which is a good thing. I made my way to Ridgeside for Philip's birthday. The cable cart ride looked really pretty with the falling leaves. I gave Philip an earth crystal, which is a loved gift for him. I don't really know why he was in Shiro and Yuma's house, but I saw a wheelchair in one of the bedrooms, and Philip is a physical therapist, so I'm wondering if those two things are connected. There were also drawings from Yuma on the wall, which was cute. Back in the valley, I accepted a help wanted request for Clint to gather 4 copper ores. In the left corner of the board, there are now 3 stars. I don't believe that was there before 1.6, and I don't yet know what that means. What's also new is that the game now keeps track of the ores you've gathered with a small pop-up in the upper right corner of the screen, which is super helpful. I made it to level 23. But instead of continuing on to level 25 where the elevator was, I went to the saloon to look for Clint. On my way there, however, George was complaining about the raccoons that keep rummaging in his trash can. He asked me to give them a good scare so that they'd stay away, but then I saw it was actually Linus. He asked me if I thought it was wrong what he did. Since I also enjoy digging through other people's trash, not in real life, it would be hypocritical of me to call him disgusting, so I said that it's not wrong of him. It's a shame for food to go to waste. Linus was happy with that answer and reassured me that he'd stop digging through George's trash. He moved on to the trash can of the saloon, where Gus found him and gave him some food, which was really nice of him. On the map I saw that Clint was already going home, so I'd hold on to the copper ores and show them to him tomorrow. I ended the day by leveling up my farming skill to level 4. On day 18, Dad sent me some money that Grandpa had left me. I harvested my first green bean, so that would be very nice for the community center. Clint gave me some gold for the ores that I'd gathered yesterday. He also finished upgrading my axe, so I received that. Back in the town center, I was greeted by Philip. He was on his way to Evelyn and George for George's physical therapy appointment. George didn't feel like it, however, and asked if he could have a rest day. According to him, Dr. Harvey didn't need to know. Philip was very understanding and agreed to discuss a less intense therapy schedule with Harvey. He seems like a good therapist to me. I went to Jojamart to give Pam a birthday parsnip, but I found Claire, the cashier, having trouble keeping her eyes open during her shift. I definitely know what it feels like when your employer puts way too much work on the employees, so I empathize with Claire a lot. And I figure Tina Tea Leaf does too, since that used to be her exact life. I gave Pam her parsnip and went to the community center to complete the spring crops bundle. This unlocked the boiler room, for which I'd need to complete the usual blacksmiths and geologists bundle, but also the engineers bundle, for which I'd need an iridium ore and a battery. I think it would take me a while to get the minecarts fixed because of this. I asked Robin to build me a well that I placed next to my crop field for now. I spent the rest of the day fishing at the mountain lake. I caught this river jelly, which increases your max energy for 7 minutes when you eat it. I also saw this bubble spot, but I couldn't reach it and then it went away. Around 7:30 I could see Sebastian from the corner of my screen. I decided to join him because that looked more fun than fishing alone. The next day, while Robin was working on my well, Pam had sent me the recipe for cheese cauliflower. I also received a quest from Jody to bring her a fresh cauliflower. Maybe she got Pam's recipe as well. I saw that you can actually put hats on your pets now, so I gave Mayo the straw hat. You can't really see it clearly, but she looks so cute. There were so much forageables in the forest today. I was there to gather more wood, not for anything useful like preserve jars or tappers or anything. I wanted to make more pets to make the farm prettier. I actually found more swords that I hadn't seen when I was here last time. After spending my day in the forest, I went to the saloon to buy a pizza for Shane's birthday tomorrow. I could have bought him a beer since that would be cheaper, but since he doesn't really have a healthy relationship with alcohol, I didn't want to feed his bad habit. On my way to the saloon though, I saw a help wanted request that had 2 stars. I still don't know what that means, but there was also this image of a ticket on there. I was curious what that meant, so I accepted the quest. I bought the pizza for Shane and enjoyed seeing Demetrius dancing by himself. He usually dances with Robin, but since she was working on my well, she wasn't here tonight. I gave Journey of the Prairie King another try, and I didn't even die once during level 1, but I died all of the times during level 2. I got such a big haul of forageables. I got enough for 80 spring seeds, which gave me a lot of gold. The next morning I harvested a cauliflower for Jody and saw that Robin had finished building the well. I thought it looked really good, but I wanted to kick it up a notch by adding the bench that was inside the house to the garden. And now I could easily fill my watering can at the well, which would really speed up the watering process. On my way to give Shane his birthday gift, I saw Kiwi and excitedly greeted them. Kiwi! But they told me that they don't like strangers, so they shooed me again. It's fine, I'm sure I'll recover from this interaction. I gave Shane a breakfast pizza, kind of hesitantly because he was in his underwear. I also saw that Marnie is now selling dog houses, cat trees and bird houses. I really want to give Mayo a cat tree. I wonder if she'll interact with it, but it's 10,000 gold, so I'm going to save up for that. I also really want to get the bird house. I hope that it'll attract birds to my farm. Then I gave Jody the cauliflower she had asked for. I gave Caroline another daffodil and bought some more potato seeds, as well as the recipe for a grass starter. The only reason being is that I wanted to try and decorate my crop area with some grass. I usually don't really decorate my farm, but this time I want to try and make it look good, and I always see other people use grass as a decoration, so I might as well give it a go. With the idea in mind to decorate the farm with the brick floor, the recipe of which you can purchase at Robin's, I went to the mines to gather stone. I mainly focused on breaking these big rocks, and any progress I made when it came to unlocking more floors was a nice bonus. On floor 23 I found a yellow slime that gave me 250 gold when I slayed it, and on floor 26 I got a pop-up that I had completed one of the monster slayer goals, which I thought was pretty quick. I'd found a cherry bomb, so I blew up the wall that blocks off the dwarf, injuring myself in the process. I couldn't speak their language yet though.
ENS polutais e domois. Ihol pan ole diol ohui nils hatam mol shana uzito ole zohonol?
At the Adventurers Guild, Gil gave me a sword for slaying 80 cave insects that does more damage than my forest sword, so I'll be trying that one out. On day 21 I had to answer the most polarizing question in the Stardew community. Did I want the mushroom or the fruit bat cave? Usually I'd go for the mushroom cave, but I wanted to try something different, so I went with the fruit bats. I received the recipe for pepper poppers from Shane and harvested the first strawberries of the season. In town, Leah showed me the community garden across from the library, and she gave me one of her green beans, which was so nice of her. Tomorrow would be Sean's birthday, and he actually loves green beans, so I would be saving this one for him. The bookseller was also in town, but last time the books were pretty expensive, so visiting him wasn't really a priority. Instead, I sold my latest harvest to Pierre, so that I would have enough gold to have Robin upgrade my coop. I really wanted to get some ducks to give Dumpling and Noodle some company. I also ended up buying the recipe for the brick floor, but when I crafted it and placed it down, I didn't think it looked that good, so you probably won't be seeing me using this much, at least for now. I spent the rest of the afternoon fishing again. I hope to catch a lot of largemouth bass, since they sell for quite some money, but I only caught one. After 7 PM I moved to the river in town and thought I might as well see what the bookseller has today, but again I didn't buy anything. That night I had to choose between the rancher and tiller profession, and since I have more crops than animals, I chose tiller, making my crops worth 10% more gold. I was also excited to learn the recipe for a recycling machine. I've been saving all of my trash for it, but of course I didn't craft one for the rest of the season. After taking care of the farm, I went to Ridgeside for Sean's birthday. Before I could visit him though, Trini showed me how she was watering the plants. She called one of them Bobbert and said to him, "Here you go, your daily sprinkle of water, my good sir." I had the option to be really mean and call her a weirdo for talking to plants, but why would I do that? So instead I complimented Trini on how well she was doing and helped her water the rest of her plants. Ridgeside has so many wholesome cutscenes, I really like that. Sean received his green bean, and what he said next connects really well to the cutscene that we just saw, because he said, "If Trini asks you, who put googly eyes on her plants, I don't know anything." It's so sweet how he goes along with Trini talking to her plants and giving them names and stuff. I saw that you can actually hire him to do certain tasks on the farm. One day I think I might hire him to water my crops, just to see how that would work. While I was here, I might as well forage for a bit, and I ended up finding a lot. When I got back to the farm to drop the forageables off, Mayo was living their best life. On the community board was a request from Elliot to give him seaweed. It said that I would get 1 ticket if I completed the task, so I wanted to see what that was about. But first I went to the Shearwater Bridge on the east of town to try and catch a butterfish for Andy's birthday. At least I found some carrot seeds here, because the fish here are extremely difficult to catch with my current fishing level. I failed and failed, got trash, failed again, and decided to just buy Andy a beer. This cabin here is where Elliot lives. Do you see that seaweed right there? If he would have taken maybe 20 steps, he could have easily grabbed the seaweed himself. For the rest of the day I fished in this bubble spot until it disappeared. Back home I ran into Shane, who was drinking by the forest pond. He gave me a beer and shared the difficulties that he experiences with staying alive basically. I didn't know what to say, so I chugged my beer and felt lightheaded. Shane told me his liver was begging him to stop, so he went back home, leaving me drunk in the forest at night. If this had happened in real life, I would have been so scared. But I made it home safely and leveled up my foraging skill, choosing the gatherer profession, which gave me a chance for a double harvest of foraged items. From this day on until the last day of spring, I wouldn't be harvesting my crops except for the ones that give multiple harvests, because I wanted the garden to look nice. This also meant that I didn't have to water my potatoes anymore. I got 2 letters, one from Louis informing me about the flower dance tomorrow, and one from Robin letting me know that the big coop includes an incubator, so I could now grow animals from eggs. I felt like clearing the farm a bit, so that's what I did. I cleared out the space around the farm cave, and now that I'm editing this, I think I never even went inside that cave, so I hope you're not looking forward to seeing it too much. I got a bit spooked when I went into town to get a beer for Andy, because there was no one there except for Dusty. The saloon was also empty, so it felt like the whole town was just abandoned in the span of 1 day. But when I got outside, I got the biggest scare of all, Jarek's charm. "Are you dressing up for the flower dance? I bet someone as good looking as you doesn't need to think too much about it, huh?" I don't possess the charm that he has. As revenge, I repulsed him by digging in Louis' trash can in front of his nose. It wasn't good for my relationship with him, but I ended up with cookies, so who's the winner here? I saw Elliot on the bridge and remembered I had some seaweed for him, so I told him not to move and went back home to get it. I gave Elliot his seaweed and received one prize ticket. It said to bring it to the prize machine in Louis's home for a special reward, so I went there as fast as I could. When I got there, Louis explained that he added rewards to certain help wanted requests to encourage people to help each other. He did worry, however, that people would now help each other to get a prize, instead of for the sake of helping each other. I was so excited for the prizes, I couldn't resist answering him with, "Yep, I'm in it for the prizes." I'm sorry, Louis, I was just teasing. Kind of. When I gave the machine my ticket, I received 12 carrot seeds, and the row of prizes moved over one tile. Honestly, this really makes me want to collect more tickets. I bought a beer at the saloon and made my way to Andy's farm. Andy thanked me for reminding him of his birthday and smiled at me. I kind of started regretting giving him a beer when I saw the state of his house. There was quite some dirt and trash everywhere, including beer bottles. On the floor was a note that read that Andy's plants aren't producing enough and that he needs more Joja fertilizer. On the desk was a book wherein he had written that his expenses were more than his income, so we almost lost 5,000 gold for that quarter. I felt pretty bad having to leave him, so I hope more positive things start to happen once I get to know him better. Back home I planted the 12 carrot seeds, since they only take 3 days to grow. I also decorated a little bit with some grass, fences and a torch. On the day of the flower dance, I collected my first oak resin. I already crafted a couple more mayonnaise machines because I wanted to get 2 ducks tomorrow. Just like on the day of the egg festival, I cleared the farm a bit before it was time to leave for the flower dance. Of course, I'm going to be ranking everyone's outfits again. For this festival, it was a bit harder because there were more people that wore special outfits, so there are some shared spots in the ranking. In 5th place are Isabel and Alyssa. I feel like they are the most perfect description of what you think of when someone says flower dance. In 4th are Sam and Elliot for wearing flowers in their hair. I like it, it makes Sam look playful and Elliot look elegant. In 3rd is Emily, who I put first last time. Again, I think she looks incredible. In 2nd are Sebastian and Robin. They are both Vietnamese, so I really like how their outfits reference their culture. They look so festive and beautiful. And in 1st place is Kiara, who we haven't seen a lot of yet, but I really like that she's wearing a suit instead of a dress, while still looking pretty. Also, I gasped when she commented on how nice Corinne was looking. I fully ship those two together. As for other people who should be together, Lorenzo said that he sensed that Anton and Paula wanted to dance together. This was confirmed when I talked to the two myself. Paula was thinking of asking Anton to dance, while Anton was thinking the same about her. Jarek was being charming as usual. Maeve was reminiscing about this festival in the past and insulted my grandpa by saying that she would have refused him if he had ever asked her to dance. Like, why would you even say that? Meanwhile, Torts was trying to eat the flower decorations. At Pierre's stand, I bought a rare crow, I can't say that word, as well as 2 seasonal plants to decorate the farm. I couldn't help myself. After watching the flower dance, which looked very colorful with everyone's special outfits, I placed down all of the items that I'd bought. The next day, the last strawberry harvest of the season was ready. I didn't harvest them yet because I liked how it looked when they were done growing. It was a very good luck day, so I wanted to go mining. When I looked through my chests to see what items to bring, I saw that Joja Cola now gives a +1 speed buff when you drink it, which I think is so funny, it actually makes you hyper now. Before mining, I visited Marnie to get 2 ducks. I changed the name of the first one from Trachino to Bean, and of the second one from Gotcha to Peanut. I guess I'm naming all of the animals after food. I drank my first Joja Cola of the day and downed another one to see if the buffs would stack, but that's not the case. They just replace each other. Back home I said hi to Little Bean, who was making friends with Dumpling, and Little Peanut, who was hiding in the grass. Then I went to the mines to try and make some progress. On floor 32 I found my first summer squash seeds from a crate. I ended up making it 15 floors down to level 40, but I didn't get the reward yet because my inventory was already full. I also reached level 3 mining. On day 26 the first maple syrup was ready. Look at how cute Mayo was. They look like a shopkeeper. After taking care of the farm, I went to Robin to buy another floor recipe because, as I mentioned before, I didn't like how the brick floor that I got earlier looked. This time I chose the rustic plank floor. When I left Robin, I couldn't help but overhear an argument between Lewis and Andy. Apparently the government had adjusted something, which resulted in Andy having to pay more money, which he really can't afford. Because of his screaming, other people started turning around and coming out of their shops to see what was going on. Lewis tried to calm him down, but that didn't work at all. The argument ended with Andy angrily walking away. Lewis told me that he's trying to communicate with the government and asked me to check up on Andy in the meantime. I agreed to do that, but first I needed to calm down from all of that excitement on the beach. There were a lot of forageables, all of which, except for one mussel, I sold to Billy. On my way to Andy's, I stopped by at Sophia's farm. She was a bit anxious when I walked onto her farm. I mean, I would be too. But she was very sweet and even gave me a quality sprinkler. She also mentioned that she has a cosplay room, which sounds really cool. Andy was tending to his crops when I visited him. He seemed to be glad about the proposal that Lewis was working on, but then he asked me to leave and started ignoring me, so I guess my work was done here. Whereas Andy was struggling, my main priority was making the farm look pretty, so I went to the forest to gather wood for my rustic plank floor. There was moss growing on this tree that fell off when I hit it with my axe, which I thought was a neat detail. I also realized that I could cut the grass here and it would turn into hay for my animals. Stardew Valley Expanded is so full of grass, I don't think I'll ever need to worry about hay ever again. One of the trees I chopped down gave me a book called Woody Secret. The description read that trees would have a 5% chance to yield double the wood if you'd read the book. So of course I did that. The animation for it looked really cute. The book is now in my list of special items and powers. And it didn't stay with one book. Just a few seconds later I got a second one that I read. And a third that I read. If I understand it correctly, the 5% chance to yield double the wood counts only once. So if you read this book after reading it once, it gives you foraging XP. You can also trade it for hardwood at the bookseller. After leaving the forest, I realized I hadn't given Pierre his birthday gift yet, so I made a run for it. Luckily it was Friday and he was at the saloon until late, so I gave him a daffodil. Day 27 was a very good luck day again. Now that there weren't a lot of crops that needed to be watered, I had a lot of energy to go mining. The first thing I did was grab the slingshot I left here last time. In true Lina fashion, I actually didn't bring my best sword, which was a bit annoying. On floor 43 I found a decorative lantern. I believe it was in one of the crates that I smashed. A dust sprite on floor 45 gave me my first coffee bean. There was a special slime on floor 49. He and his buddies gave me a pretty tough fight. I had to take a salmonberry break to make sure I didn't die, but eventually I slayed them and they dropped the sword I was already holding. So I sold it to the Adventurers Guild, as well as the slingshot and another sword I'd found. I went back to the floor I ended on, which was floor 50, to get some new boots. They match well with the rest of my outfit, I think. I harvested 1 potato so that I could plant the coffee bean that I got. Having a dresser is so useful. Now I could put my boots in here instead of having to dedicate a chest for it. At night I leveled up my combat and mining skill. The last day of the season was so satisfying because I could harvest all of my crops. Emily had sent me the recipe for salad, and today were also some birthdays that I had to go to Ridgeside for. Wait, why was Kiwi keeping an eye on my farm? I really want to know what that's about. In Ridgeside, I found Sunny on the north side of town and gave him a rich cherry. On my way south for Bert's birthday, I stopped by at Pika's, where Kahani was tending one of the registers. When I tried to talk to him, the pop-up said that he was trying to hold his breath, which was funny. I gave Bert a Azorian flower. Now I could enter his and Olga's room and snoop around, but there was nothing that exciting. Back outside, one of Bert's males was making an unusual sound. I helped him find out what was wrong, and he ended up fixing the mill. Even though it was still morning, Bert suggested that we treated ourselves with a beer for our hard work. After hanging out for a bit though, I made my way back home because I wanted to prepare the farm for summer. I started by making some pads and placing them down by the entrance of the farmhouse. I also redid the layout of my crops to make it easier to place sprinklers down once I would get those. This task took me the entire rest of the day. I eventually came up with a layout that I actually don't think I'm that happy with, but that's okay, I can change it again whenever I want. Because of the harvest that day, I reached level 6 of the farming skill and made almost 11,000 gold. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed. Please let me know if you'd like to see more videos on this Stardew playthrough. This video was kind of an experiment, so I'd love to know what you thought of it. It also took me quite a long time to make, so I probably won't be posting next week, but the week after that I'll be back with another episode of The Sims Legacy. I hope to see you there, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Bye everybody!